Welcome to Blood Runs Cold, the channel where horror fans gather to explore the darkest corners of the world. If you crave disturbing stories, chilling visuals, or unforgettable nightmares, you've just found your new favorite haunt. I used to work nights as a delivery driver in rural Oregon. There's a stretch of back roads out by the Cascades. No lights, no houses, just endless trees. GPS is spotty out there, so most drivers avoided it. I didn't. I liked the solitude. One night I got an order with no mapped address, just a weird handwritten note on the receipt. Old Chapel Road, mile marker 12, Stone Church past the Fork. Thought it was a prank, but I took it. Money's money. It was already past 10 when I got out there. The road narrowed to dirt, then gravel, then nothing. Just woods, no houses, no lights. But I found the mile marker, then the fork, and sure enough, there was a narrow path barely wide enough for my car. I crept down it until my headlights caught a stone building buried in the trees. It looked like an old church, windows boarded, roof caved in, but still intact. Just as I was about to turn around, I saw someone standing in the doorway, tall, hooded, not moving. I honked once. No response. Against every instinct, I got out, left the pizza on the stone steps. Then I heard it, chanting, low, rhythmic, like a heartbeat in another language. Not from the church, from the woods behind me. I turned around and saw them. Maybe 20 figures standing in a perfect circle, each holding torches, faces hidden under black hoods. One wore an animal skull, curved horns like a ram. And then they all stopped chanting. The entire group turned toward me, silent, watching. One of them stepped forward and raised something, a long, jagged knife that reflected in the torchlight. I didn't think. I just ran. I tripped over roots, slammed into trees, scraped my arms bloody. I didn't stop until I hit my car. I fumbled the keys twice before I got it started. When I looked in the rearview mirror, they were standing at the tree line, still watching, still silent. I got back to town an hour later. My boss said no one placed that order. The phone number was fake. When I went back the next day, during daylight, the road was gone. No fork, no mile marker, just trees. I grew up in a small Kentucky town where there wasn't much to do besides get in trouble. When I was 17, my best friend Kyle dared me to sneak into the old Methodist church on the outskirts of town. It had been boarded up for decades after a fire and some vague scandal involving the pastor. We broke in through a cracked window around midnight. The place smelled like mold and ash. Everything was rotting. Collapsed pews, a half-melted pulpit, stained glass shattered on the floor. It was creepy, but manageable, until we found the basement door. It was padlocked with a thick chain, recent, shiny. Someone was still using it, but the chain had been cut and left dangling. That should have been the warning. We went down. The air changed immediately. Heavy. Warm. It smelled like burnt meat and iron. The basement wasn't big, but every inch was covered in occult symbols, pentagrams, eyes, spirals, some painted, some carved deep into the concrete. There were shelves with jars full of bones, melted candles arranged in a perfect circle, a wooden altar with dried blood caked on it. Above the altar, a deer's head mounted like a trophy, but its eyes had been replaced with glass marbles. That's when we heard the front door slam. Then footsteps, heavy, slow, multiple sets. We killed our flashlights and ducked behind a broken cabinet. The basement door creaked open, then came chanting. Male and female voices, soft and deliberate. I peeked through a crack. There were 6 of them. Hooded robes, faces painted white. One of them had real antlers coming out of their head, or something crafted to look disturbingly real. They dragged something down with them, a large burlap sack. It was moving. I heard muffled crying. It was a person, alive. They brought it to the altar. Kyle was shaking beside me. He leaned forward to look and knocked over an empty jar. The chanting stopped. One of them turned toward our hiding spot. Then another, the one with antlers pointed. We bolted. We crashed through the opposite wall and stumbled into a maintenance corridor. Found a rusted hatch that led out to the back lot. We didn't look back, just ran for miles until we reached the gas station. Cops said there was no evidence. The basement was sealed when they checked. No symbols, no altar. Nothing. 2 weeks later, Kyle vanished. No struggle, no clues. His bed was made, his shoes still in the closet. He was just gone. That church still stands, decaying quietly. But sometimes, on certain nights, you can see a faint red glow flickering through the basement windows. I grew up in a tiny Nebraska town, one of those places with more corn than people. My family lived on a farmhouse surrounded on all sides by fields that stretched to the horizon. When I was 13, my older cousin Nate came to stay for the summer. We were inseparable. Days were spent riding bikes, nights were flashlight tag and sneaking beers. One evening, we wandered deeper into the fields than we should have. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, we stumbled into a perfect circle in the corn, about 30 feet wide. No stalks, just bare earth. In the center stood a crude wooden figure, like a scarecrow, but twisted. Its body was made of twine and animal bones. It had horns, and its face was just stretched burlap with a crude smile stitched in red thread. Nate wanted to kick it over. I told him to leave it alone. We argued and left it standing. That night, I woke up to scratching on my window. At first, I thought it was Nate messing with me. But when I looked, it wasn't him. It was the scarecrow, or something wearing the scarecrow. The burlap face was pressed against the glass. Its stitched mouth opened just slightly, and something clicked inside its throat, like bones snapping. I screamed. My parents came running. But it was gone. 2 nights later, Nate vanished. No forced entry, no signs of a struggle. His window was open, his shoes still by the bed. We searched for days. Nothing. My dad found the circle again, and this time the scarecrow was different. Bigger, and it was wearing Nate's hoodie. His name was stitched into the front in the same red thread as the smile. We moved that fall. A few years ago, I saw a Reddit post from someone in a nearby county. They found a circle. Same size, same scarecrow. They heard scratching at their window. I didn't reply. I just closed the laptop. I still dream about cornfields, and in the dream, the scarecrow walks.